There was an article that came out a few days ago on Zero Hedge, and in that article, it talked about 20% of California community college students are homeless. Now today, most of you have heard the news that there has been an investigation with a bunch of bribery that is taking place at some of these very high-level Ivy League type schools. And you have people in the Hollywood elite like Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin. You have people in Silicon Valley. You have high-ranking attorneys from big giant law firms. You have a deep variety of very, very wealthy people who have bribed athletic directors, coaches, just high-ranking officials at these colleges to get their children in. In fact, they were having people cheat for them on SATs, I believe, cheating on entry exams, doing whatever it took by paying the right people in order for their kids to cut in line. And isn't it interesting? You look at like Felicity Huffman, a pure anti-Trumper. You look at most of these people, you look at the people that are involved in Silicon Valley, again, the Hollywood elite, major CEOs, and we're going to find out more names as this goes on, but you can bet that a majority of these people were against Donald Trump. Yet these people who live in glass houses and throw rocks, you know, these are the people who keep telling us that they're smarter than us, that they know more than we do, that we need to be subservient to these people, that we need to give our rights up because these people say so. You know, give your gun rights up, yet these people have tons of security, tons of guns around their house with their professional security teams, their bodyguards, but they're so hypocritical, and this is just another example of the hypocrisy with these elite, whether they be in Silicon Valley, whether they be in Hollywood, whether they be running a major company or a major investment company. These are the elite who think that they're smarter and know more than you do. These are the hypocrites who hate this country, hate this president, and hate you. We live in very, very interesting times. We are witnessing a social and economic meltdown taking place in America right now. I read an article on Zero Hedge today, and it pointed out the reasons and the evidence of the economic meltdown. And I know we've talked about this before, and and it may sound like a broken record, but this just came out today, and I want to go over this list for you. Total consumer debt in the U.S. just surpassed $4 trillion. This is the highest consumer debt has ever been in the history of the United States of America. When you throw in mortgages and other kinds of individual debt, U.S. consumers are now past $13.5 trillion of debt. There are 480 million credit cards floating around in the United States of America right now. That's up 15% from 2015. Consumers are carrying $870 billion worth of balances on their credit cards as of right now, today. 56% of Americans that have credit card balances have been carrying them for more than 1 year. 37 million Americans are serious delinquent on their credit card account right now. Seriously delinquent means 90 days plus. Americans now owe $1.3 trillion on their auto loans. 7 million Americans are seriously delinquent on their auto loans. This is 1 million more than at the height of our last recession. Now, I think if you have any common sense, if you have a brain in your head, you have to realize that things in America are not as good as many people may be telling you. Student loan debt has reached $1.5 trillion, and that's more than doubled in the last 10 years. Right now, more than $166 billion in student loan debt is seriously delinquent. Millennials are now over $1 trillion in debt. Almost 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Is this a sign of a great economy? Is this a flourishing economy? I mean, ask yourself, what is this going to look like when it actually slows down? What is a bad economy going to look like in the United States of America if this is a good economy? More reasons why I'm so adamant that you are preparing, whether that be security, whether that be food and water, whether that be gold and silver, whether that be walking closer to God, whether that be getting in better physical, mental, and spiritual shape, whatever it may be, you need to be working on this right now. These are horrendous warning signs, and I don't know how much louder these signs have to be before people out there wake up and realize that we're heading into a very, very deep recession, if not going to witness another Great Depression. We're going to see very, very troublesome times coming to America. Here's an article that came out today. Average U.S. mortgage, okay? The average U.S. mortgage in America is about $355,000. Now take into account that over half of America, okay, over half of America makes less than $31,000 a year. Yet the average mortgage in America is $355,000. This makes no sense to me. I think if you just have basic math skills, this just is not going to work. And when you look at the debt that people are acquiring, when you look at the amount of money it costs to buy a house, the amount of money it costs to buy a car, when you look at consumer inflation going up literally every day, how are people making it? People are living on their credit cards. They're living and getting deeper in debt as they live. And it's very, very concerning. And I think we really, really have to be paying attention to what's going on, not what the Dow Jones is telling us, not what the financial analysts are telling us on TV, but I think we really have to be aware of what's happening in our environment. I'm seeing a lot of commercial real estate vacant. We know retail's been getting clobbered, but this is all seriously bad news. And listen, I support this president, I support this country. I don't want to see anything bad happen, but the reality of it is we are heading down a very deep, dark, narrow road, and you better be prepared. Even the video game industry, okay? The video game industry, for the outlook for 2019 is declining. Activision Blizzard, EA, Arena, I think it's ArenaNet, Telltale, Carbine Studios, they're all laying off people. And here, is an industry that has just been booming, and now even they're feeling the pain. So we have more and more evidence piling up every day. I mean, we can go into auto sales, we can go into the real estate market. We have nothing but bad news every day. Yet the stock market continues to drive forward. It seems to not affect the illusion of the stock market, but it's affecting Main Street. It's affecting you and I, and we need to be paying very, very close attention. On top of that, we're witnessing a global meltdown taking place right now in multiple countries in Europe, Latin America. And this is all going to affect us one way or another. And we're going to affect economies throughout the world too, because we are the biggest debtor nation. We are consumers of debt. We create debt. We're known for making debt. And we at some point are going to pay the piper here in America. This lifestyle that Americans have been living, this illusion, this fantasy, this bubble that Americans have been living in is going to come to an end. And when it pops, there are going to be so many unprepared people. They're not going to know what to do. Their environment is literally going to change overnight. And America has not had it very bad. Even the poor in America have it better than most of the poor in most of the world. So if you're going to be poor, you'd much rather be poor in America than most places in the world. But people that have been living this state of entitlement, people who've been living off the government, the poor people who are getting all the government subsidies. What are these people going to do when the government no longer can send those checks? What will they do if the dollar collapses? What are they going to do if an EMP or a terrorist act takes place in America? These are the most unprepared people because they're the most reliant on the government. Do yourself a big favor. Do not rely on anybody but yourself. Be your own central bank, be your own security, and just be self-reliant, because this is going to come to an end. And we are seeing the signs of that taking place right now. Out here in Riverside, California, I see homeless everywhere. I see people struggling. I personally know people who are struggling. And I would say that a majority of people in America are struggling right now. And when I read the news, when I read stuff like this, okay, this just blows me away. Migrants using nearly twice the welfare of native-born Americans. So you have, people who may even be coming here legally, many coming here illegally, just milking the system. I truly believe, if you're a legal immigrant, that you should probably have to wait 5, 6, 7 years before you're even eligible for subsidies. Yet we're giving government subsidies to people the day they get here, which I think is appalling, because there are true Americans that need help. There are Americans sleeping on the streets. There are vets on the streets. There are people losing their jobs, and we are taking care of illegal aliens before we're taking care of our own people. And this is another reason America's bankrupt, because we spend so many billions of dollars on people that don't even live here, that come here illegally, who are not legal residents. 1.7 million Central American Mexican illegal aliens are living in the U.S. despite deportation orders. So you can bet all these people who've been told to leave and aren't leaving, we're still subsidizing them. We're still paying for them. So as you're, working your 40, 50, 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, and just squeaking by or falling deeper into debt, just remember, the U.S. government is taking care of these people when the government should be helping you out. We have almost 2,300 migrants in quarantine right now for communicable disease outbreaks. That's another article on Breitbart. So not only is the government taking your hard-earned tax dollars to pay for illegal aliens, we're bringing in sick people, okay? We're housing all these sick people. What happens when it's not measles or mumps or typhus or whatever? What happens when it's Ebola? What happens when it's leprosy? Although we have thousands of cases of leprosy right now here in America, and you know how it got here, yet they don't like to talk about that. But, America is being jeopardized financially. Its safety is being jeopardized when we're bringing diseased people over here. And of course, they're getting the best medical attention because you and I are paying for it. Tijuana. I mean, we are literally dealing with terrorism on the other side of the border. That is like 2.5 hours from my house. And, there's assault rifles, grenade launchers, heaven knows what, sitting right over the border. But we cannot label, like Trump wanted to do. He wants to label them as terrorist groups, yet this country, this government doesn't want to label the cartels as terrorists. I wonder why. Twice deported illegal alien accused of child sex crimes pleads guilty. So this is what's coming over the border as we're witnessing our economy collapsing. We're witnessing our economy collapsing, and we just allow the borders to be open, to keep paying for all this, to keep bringing in sick people, to bring in pedophiles, sex offenders, murderers, you name it. U.S. citizen killed by stray bullet during Mexican cartel shootout near Texas. So you don't want to be near the border because you may take a stray bullet as the border is literally a war zone. Rio Grande Valley border chief. We have intercepted migrants from Bangladesh, Turkey, Romania, and China. And we're catching these people literally every day from well over 100 countries across the globe that are coming through the southern border. Yet, Nobody does anything about it. You know, we have this incredible military. We have all this technology. We're supposed to be the strongest military in the entire world. It's almost embarrassing that we can't even protect our own border. What in the hell are we doing being the world police when we can't even police our own border? I want to take a couple minutes and I want to talk about Venezuela. Just horrific things going on in Venezuela right now. My heart goes out to those people. They've had 100 hours plus of no power, no water. Widespread looting's been taking place. The army is overwhelmed. Many of the members have actually joined in on the looting. Bands of armed people are breaking into buildings and homes to get food. People are drinking sewer water. This is what happens when socialism takes over a country. This is what happens when you are printing money out of thin air and printing it to the moon. This is the wealthiest oil country in the entire world, okay? Venezuela has more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. It's the wealthiest oil nation on the globe, yet because of socialism, people are living like animals, fending for themselves, going through piles of trash to find a little bit of bread, drinking sewer water. And how many of these people years ago said that could never happen to Venezuela? That could never happen to us. I bet a lot of those people thought that their country could never collapse, that a lot of those people never thought that they would be eating zoo animals to survive. The US has 3 power grids. Just think of an EMP occurred. Think about a terrorist attack, how easy it would be to knock out one of those grids or all 3 of those grids. They could be attacked with malware, which now we're looking at so many countries that have the sophistication and the technology to do that. Look at, you know, NASA's been hacked into, the IRS has been hacked into, all these government agencies have been hacked into. How easy would it be for a foreign or domestic group of terrorists to hack into our vital grids? Doctors would be operating under flashlights. Stores cannot refrigerate food. You couldn't refrigerate your own food at home. How long would you last? Fuel stations couldn't pump fuel, so trucks couldn't fuel up and deliver food. Ask yourself, what would you do in a situation like this? What would you do if you were one of these people in Venezuela? What would you do when there is no food? Most Americans don't even know how to cook. Most Americans can barely operate a microwave. So truly ask yourself, what would you do if the lights went out in America, if the grid went down? Again, terrorist attack, whether it be a malware attack or a physical attack on the grid. What would we do? It's a scary question, but this is why I think it's so important that we get videos like this out. It's so important that we read the comments to videos like this, that we're preparing. There is an awakening taking place here in America. And what is happening across the globe, what's happening in the economy, we have to be really watching closely because this is a warning sign. These events are telling us that something is coming. When you look at Venezuela, that should tell you something. Can you survive in an environment like that? Most people cannot and will not. And the Venezuelans are probably a much tougher people than the people here in America who've been living in their little bubbles for decades. Their little narcissistic, entitled bubbles. What are you going to do when the lights go out? Can you survive? Will you survive? Do you have the ability to survive? Do you have the fight in you to survive? Or are you just going to be a victim? Think about that. This is almost like a giant tsunami where we're seeing this social unrest and we're having this economic meltdown all at the same time while we have all this division. Think how deadly this combination is. This is so dangerous, and I don't see it letting up. I don't see us changing course. Please get ready. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate your time. I know that there's a lot of videos out there. Your time is valuable, and I really appreciate that you take the time to watch this. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification so when a new video comes out, you get it. Please share this video. Please keep getting the word out. Just please pray for this president, pray for this country, and get prepared. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you soon.